Thank you, everybody, for joining up. This is part two of our series for the Knights Guild Catalyst Committee. And if you haven't seen part one yet, be sure to navigate over to our YouTube channel where you can catch that one, and then you can also catch the recording of this one once you've completed that. The first one was all about the introduction to Cardano Catalyst, all the basics of what you need to know. Today we're going to be diving a little bit deeper and getting into how you can optimize your time as a proposal assessor in Cardano Catalyst. Oh, and before I get started, I was sick most of this week, so if you hear me coughing or like jump off on mute or something real quick during the presentation, I'm probably just like coughing or dying in the background or something. And I don't know if my voice sounds nasally or anything like that, but nonetheless, the show goes on and the sickness does not outweigh my passion for what Cardano Catalyst is, and we're gonna keep this thing rolling. Presentation goals. This presentation is designed to provide you with an increased familiarity with the proposal assessor phase of Catalyst so that you can optimize your contributions and your earnings. After this presentation, you'll be aware of the standards that a proposal assessor reviews will be evaluated by. You'll develop a sense of how to optimize your limited time in the assessment period, and you will be prepared to execute a strategy that best suits you. The point of this presentation is to establish, generally speaking, a deeper familiarity with the process from both a proposal assessor and a veteran proposal assessor perspective. Those are going to be important. The basics. When you're developing your content, there are a few general rules that you want to apply to all of your assessments that you review, regardless of what strategy you're utilizing. These are things that veteran proposal assessors are looking for, and they will help you prevent your reviews from getting flagged because you're hitting all the minimum criterias, or they may even elevate your review from a good review to an excellent score, which, as we discussed last time, is 3 times the rewards of a good review. So that's a big bonus there. The first thing that you're going to want to remember to do is include personal experience. Anybody can follow a general criteria outline. What they can't do is include your own personal experience. That cannot be replicated. That is something that remains with you, and that's what you want to be contributing. I understand that like not everybody is going to have personal experience in every single proposal that they're working with, and if that is the case, you are allowed to make citations. You can go to external sources that might have general research or something that is relevant to the proposal that you're assessing, and you can make a citation to that. Make sure you include the link though, otherwise it's not really going to make much of an impact. On every proposal that you review, you're going to want to offer constructive criticism and suggestions for how they can improve. Even if it's a perfect 5 across the board, which does happen sometimes, there is no such thing as perfect. There are always tiny, nitpicky little things that you can offer as advice to improve. Explain your line of thinking related to your score. It's not enough to just give a score and then say what you think about the proposal. Reference it to the score so that you can provide the proposer with some context for how it is that they can improve. Remember, as somebody had asked this question last presentation that we did, are you writing to the proposer or are you writing to the voter? And the answer is yes, both. You're giving your advice about how proposers can improve their proposal, but also you want to be giving context to voters. And I'll actually that's good for this next point. Frame it in a perspective of the voters. Voters are more likely to vote for proposals that offer more concrete evidence. Proposers or voters are more likely to vote for proposals that provide a greater understanding of the urgency for the need for this proposal. Voters are more likely to vote for proposals that are efficient in their spending. That's not true, as we learned from last round, but but frame it from the perspective of the voters, because that helps voters to see how it is that you're thinking about it and what things are good and bad about it. And it also helps the proposer to see it from the voter's point of view. So you kill two birds with one stone on that one. Generally speaking, also keep it simple and be specific. Remember that you are talking to voters, and that is, I guess that would be kind of a primary goal, but it's not at all way far above the goal of speaking to proposers. So you want to be sure that you are keeping it simple. You want to make sure that anybody could pick it up, read it, and understand it. Don't overcomplicate it. That's not what this is for. Inflate your scores. I know a lot of people, if you're watching the recording or live, might be surprised that I'm encouraging dishonesty. But yes, that's exactly what I'm doing, mainly because the system incentivizes it. Proposers have an unlimited ability to flag reviews. So if a proposal does not like the review that you gave, maybe the criticism was too harsh, maybe it reveals something that they did not want to be known to the public, or maybe they just don't like the way that it looks to voters and they'd like to pick and choose which ones go in and which ones don't. They do have to provide their rationale as to why they flagged it as inappropriate, but the thing is, that's not a great mechanism. I'll touch that in just a second. There is some things in this that do kind of work in your favor, like the fact that many proposers don't even know that they have this ability. They don't know that they can flag inappropriate reviews for their proposal. And I discovered this by talking to a JPEG store about a proposal that they had submitted last round. And they received quite a lot of, let's say, inappropriate proposal reviews because they were asking for so much money and they're the biggest decentralized application in the Cardano ecosystem. They didn't know that you have the ability to flag the ones that are overly aggressive or what have you. But the mechanism is open for exploitation. If a proposer does know that this is a capability, that do know that they can flag proposals left and right as they want to make their proposal look the best, then they're free to do that. Now, the defense mechanism against that is supposed to be veteran proposal assessors. But the thing is, it is easier for VPAs to endorse a flag than it is to actually evaluate the review. In theory, the VPAs are supposed to be there as your line of defense, which is good, like that should be in place, but the reality is that veteran proposal assessors, they're incentivized by rewards just as much as we are as proposal assessors. So their motivations aren't always there with the intent to defend the integrity of the mechanism. They're there because they want to be earning some extra ADA just like we do. So the defense against inappropriate flagging is questionable, and we did discover that last round in Fund 9. No, I'm sorry, I think it was Fund 8. There were a variety of proposal assessments that got flagged. They did not get reviewed, and by that mechanism, whoever wrote that proposal assessment, they wasted their time completely because they did not have an appropriate defense in their favor. And it could be that like most of those assessments that got flagged were in fact inappropriate, but still the mechanism doesn't leave me with a lot of comfort, which is why I encourage you to inflate your scores. Don't be like so dishonest as to say, this is the most amazing proposal ever, and I think that you should vote for it. That's probably not going to be very unique to the scores anyway, but you do want to come at it with an attitude of every single proposal that you assess, you are there to advocate for the proposer. You want them to be approved. You want them to get their funding, and you want to provide them with all the information that they can in order to make sure that that happens. You are their advocate, and that is the best framework, the most lucrative framework, I think, that you can approach proposal assessments with. There is a built-in incentive for assessments to be approved proposals. You want the proposals that you review to be approved. And we'll talk about that in just a second. We're going to get into the reward scheme of what that looks like and how it is that we as proposal assessors get our rewards and what bonuses can come along from that. My own personal experience, so this may very well be anecdotal, don't take that as fact, but I have had plenty of proposal assessments that have been flagged. Many of them were completely appropriate, especially earlier on. I didn't realize that aggression was something that they were filtering out, which I guess I should have. But yeah, there are many that have been critical. Most of the ones that have been filtered out, for me anyways, have been the ones that have been critical. So keep that in mind. I don't think there's any harm in taking this approach, and if anything, it can just help you better. I think that it's a good positive framework to go by. Let's see, is the next one? Oh, what not to do. Okay, that's important. Do not make accusations. Do not accuse the proposer of being a scam or like trying to get funds out of the community just because they're pushing something that's perceivably good. Maybe virtue signaling, maybe something that sounds good but doesn't really have a lot of substance. Whatever it is, do not make accusations in your proposer. You are their advocate. You're not there to warn the community about what's happening. And there are mechanisms in place beyond the proposal assessment period, so you don't have to worry about your responsibility to defend Catalyst funds, because on the back end, when funding is distributed, if a proposer is not providing evidence that they are doing what they said they were going to do, what they promised that they were going to do, then they don't get continued funding. It's not distributed all at once. It's distributed on a month by month basis based on the proposer's ability to provide evidence that they are following through on their promises here. Do not tell the voters how to vote. Your opinion doesn't really matter on this. You're there to provide the facts. You're there to provide information and critical thinking and rationale as to whatever your rating is. You can identify what voters are more likely to vote for, and we went through some of those examples previously. And that I think is a good way to approach it, because that way, if you're talking about what voters are more likely to vote for, then you're effectively doing the same thing, I would think. Not exactly telling them how to vote, but providing some rationale for what voting should look like, at least from your perspective. And it's a good way to sort of lay out your evaluation. I think that's the best way to do it. Voters are more likely to ... Do not provide your opinion on the outcomes of this proposal. The voting will take care of that. That's not your responsibility. You are not there to provide how you think this is going to play out. I don't think this proposal is going to get approved because it doesn't actually provide any impacts. I think that they're wasteful in spending. I think that this is a solution that already exists in the Cardano ecosystem. I don't think this is going to get approved. I put in parentheses here without detailed rationale. I guess that's true. Like you can say, I don't think this is going to get approved because of these reasons that align with the Cardano voters, whatever. I'm going to say, just as a rule of thumb, don't go that direction. Do not give your opinion on how the outcome is going to turn out. I say just frame it as like how you think voters will vote, or vote how you think that voters, what voters are looking at. It kind of masks that sentiment of how you think it's going to turn out, how you think voters are going to vote, or how you think voters should vote, I guess. Just providing that rationale, it both gives the voters a line of thinking to decide whether or not they align with, or it gives the proposers a rationale for how they should be framing their proposal. Do not talk about the proposers themselves. This has happened before in Catalyst. Those almost always get flagged. You don't want to talk about how you feel about the proposer in the Cardano community. They're not good for the space. They shouldn't be allowed to participate, whatever it is. That's not your job. You can pick apart the experience as it is relevant to the proposal. You can say that the core team doesn't have the experience to be able to reliably make this proposal come to fruition, even if it is the most amazing idea ever. The core team is a priori. Okay, the next one is at that we're gonna get into the reward scheme next, but at this point, do we have any questions on anything that we just went over? The to-dos, the not to-dos, things that I might not have explained clearly, anything at all. Okay, pretty straightforward. I think we're just gonna go ahead and move on. Going once, twice, sold. Okay, the reward scheme that we currently operate under, it is denominated in US dollars. That I believe that it's supposed to convert to ADA in the next round, but I don't think we've gotten very much details on that. Still, this framework implemented in Fund 6 is still live as far as we know. Every proposal assessment, let's say every block. Let me explain it that way. Those little dark blue circles or squares there, those are blocks. Every single block is offered the same exact reward. It's equally distributed among all of the proposers that get passing reviews. The light blue ones are excellent assessments. The dark blue ones are good assessments. Every single assessment is budgeted for the same amount of blocks that they can distribute. And if we get that like minimum threshold, it will all be distributed just as planned, objectively equally between everybody that got a passing review. The excellent assessments will get 3 times the amount. The good assessments will get just one little block. But the question comes when a proposal has multiple assessments that go over the budget and need rewards to be distributed. That's absolutely possible. It's not a limited threshold. There can be 5 excellent assessments that get passed. Uh, there can be more than what is budgeted. I'll just leave it at that. That seems simple and easy enough to follow. In that case, if there is more proposals that are of quality assessments, whether they be good or excellent assessments within a single given proposal, it will convert to a lottery system. Last presentation, I believe I had said that the goal, the way that you earn rewards, it is to accumulate tickets, accumulate raffle tickets is what I meant. And this is what that looks like. Every single block, every good review, or the equivalent of one good review, is 4 raffle tickets. An excellent score gets 12 lottery tickets. In the event that you get over the amount of tickets that are accumulated within a specific proposal, so there is more than the equivalent of 2 excellent proposals or excellent reviews and 3 good reviews, then it converts to a lottery system. And they will draw, 36 tickets? Yeah, 36 parts. Whichever tickets win in that lottery system, those rewards will be distributed as such. So if you have an excellent review that has been put in there, you will be getting, in theory, by chance, more rewards than a good review might, because you have more lottery tickets. You have a better chance to get more rewards accumulated. Now, I talked about some bonuses before. There are bonuses in addition to that objective amount that has been allocated for each proposal. It's not just an even split every single proposal. There are bonuses. The bonuses are provided to proposal assessors, previously called something else. But the approved proposals are the ones that receive more rewards. So if you review one, if you have provided rationale that gave voters a reason to vote for that proposal and that proposal gets approved, you get a bonus as a result of that on top of the amount that you have already earned. That's what I mean by there is incentive for your reviews, the proposals that you review, to get approved. You want to be their advocate. That is the way that the system is set up. The bonuses that are received are proportional to the amount that is requested for that given proposal. So if a proposal requests something like $250,000, an insane amount in Cardano Catalyst, but it gets approved and your proposal assessment is in there. You got a good or excellent one in that you get a bonus as a result of that. And that would be 0.1% the sum of all of the proposal's budget. So the higher the budget is, the greater your bonus reward is going to be if it gets passed. I don't really like this system, but that's how it is. I think that was the last. Yeah, there it is. Any questions on the reward scheme? Any questions on how that operates? Anything that I might not have explained super clearly or blabbed on about? Cool. Okay. Sounds clear enough. And I'm always available, whether you're watching the recording or where you're watching the live stream right now. You can ask me questions in the Catalyst chat. I'm here for that. Strategy number 1, start early. Regardless of whether or not you decide to utilize this strategy, you should be typing out all of your reviews in a Google or Word doc. I have had plenty of assessments before get completely deleted because of, I don't know, some kind of a computer crash or internet outage or whatever it is, and it loses all of the amounts that I typed directly into the IdeaScale website because I didn't save it before the crash took place. So this is good to do, especially in the post approval period when they actually publish the results of voting and rewards and all that stuff. Having your assessments saved in a document there, that will allow you to more easily find your own reviews, and you can find out what your ID is. Because it's anonymous, it's really not that easy. You have to either remember what proposals you reviewed and what you said in them, or if you have a Google or Word doc in there, you can use that to find your own IdeaScale ID or your own Proposal Assessor ID, and then you can just look at your results. That's how I found it. Now, starting early. Before the Proposal Assessor phase begins, progress of the concurrent funding round, it can be publicly viewed. What that means that any proposers that are out there that are actively writing reviews directly before the proposal phase begins, they're there just typing away at their proposal assessments. And a lot of them finish early. A lot of them finish within the first week. I think they're given like 4 weeks to type out their assessments. I'm sorry, their proposals. And in that time, you can see what their progress looks like. So with that, there's an opportunity for you to start early. You don't have to be rushed by the time frame that is constricted on the proposal assessor phase. You can start early. But in that, there is a risk. In the event that there are substantial changes that are made to the proposal that is already put into IdeaScale, your review might not have enough connection to actually make sense, and it could be filtered out, and that time could be wasted. There's a risk there. So when you're utilizing this strategy, when you're looking at proposals before the assessment period actually begins, you want to make sure that the proposal looks completed. It looks relatively well put together. All of the basics and framework are there at the very least, and something that you can tangibly evaluate. And yeah, it can be also a little bit risky to talk about what things they are missing from that proposal because their period hasn't completed yet. They're not done with it, so they could add that missing stuff later. But generally speaking, I think you can kind of get a sense of what proposals are done and which ones aren't, especially with some experience. Strategy number 2, the assessment spam. I've utilized this strategy in both the first and the Fund 8 and Fund 9. I just tried to write as many as I could. Write as many reviews as you can in the proposal assessment phase. It's supposed to be 1 to 2 weeks. Fund 8 was 1 week. Fund 9 was 2 weeks. They might jump back to the 1 week thing because there were a lot of assessments that were submitted for Fund 9 compared to Fund 8. In Fund 8, there were lots of assessments that barely got like 2 assessments on each proposal. That did happen. But then in Fund 9, I think there were probably like 9 minimum on each proposal that was submitted. So there's a difference. The time frame does make a difference there, and we'll see how they adjust or how they react. I wouldn't be surprised if they converted back to 1 week. Now remember, excellent assessments do earn 3 times more than good reviews. So excellent scores are easier said than done. I personally, like, of the proportion that I have written, not a lot of them have been excellent reviews. A vast majority of the ones that I have written were good reviews, and hopefully I hope to like close that gap soon and like get more excellent reviews in there. But the reality is, it's easier said than done. So the spam method could be a good method for a lot of us that are just wanting to get in there, provide as many good reviews as we can, and accumulate as many rewards as we can from that. Now, if you come across, this is my recommendation if you're deciding to go with this strategy. If you just want to dedicate every little bit of time that you have during that period to put in assessments, I say if you come across a proposal that you strongly resonate with, that you have considerable person experience to contribute, spend more time on that one. Heck, spend up to 3 hours on that one. Because if you're spending an hour on each proposal and you spend 3 hours or less on a given proposal, you're still coming out on top there if you do land the excellent score. So really try with the ones that you connect with well. In this strategy, I suggest that you line up your proposals because there is a large pool of proposals out there to mess with. You could be searching for quite a long time. So in that, before you get ready to get down and grind on the assessment spam strategy, find ones that sound interesting. Look at the titles and just keep them open on tabs or save the links on your Google document so that you have them prepared to be able to go to, and you can click the ones that you want to review, go right on to the next one instead of having to waste all of this time sifting through this large pool of assessments and just trying to find one that you like or understand, whatever it is. Target the shorter length proposals. A lot of proposal assessors do this, so this is going to be a more competitive method of doing it, but like ultimately the ROI that you will be receiving by aiming at the shorter, simpler, easy to understand proposals, it's going to be much more efficient. If you can get onto a long line of proposals that only take you maybe 30 to 45 minutes each one, then your time is going to be used a heck of a lot more efficiently doing those ones versus the ones that might take up to an hour. Also, target topics that you're familiar with. There are different categories of proposal assessments. You can filter based on those categories. You can use keywords so that you can target NFTs. You can target games. You can target music. You can target things that you align with best, things that you understand, things that you have experience in. So that's a good way. Remember the proposal assessment tool. I referenced that in the first presentation. That one will help you a lot, and there's a lot of maneuverability with that one. That tool is a lifesaver. Definitely use it. Strategy number 3 is the contrarian strategy. Other proposal assessors will more commonly be targeting more lucrative and easily accessible proposals. Those are the shorter proposals, the ones by reputable authors, because there's kind of a lot of politics within Cardano Catalyst and DC Spark and I don't know, JPEG Store. I actually forget if they got approved or not, but the names that are most recognizable in Cardano, these are the ones that get approved most commonly. And I'm not at all saying that that is undeserved. These people are contributing majorly to the Cardano ecosystem, and that's probably why. Like there's a lot of trust there that they have established with the community. They are doing good things and they can prove it. But from the context of a proposal assessor, everybody else is targeting those authors too. So if you want to take the contrarian strategy, avoid those ones and look at the ones that people aren't paying attention to because there's a lot less competition there. Also, the higher budget proposals, because of the bonuses that we talked about before, the higher budget proposals that do end up getting passed, those ones are going to be receiving higher bonuses because of the insane amount that they're requesting. Again, I don't like this system, but that's how it works, and this is how I suggest you approach it because of that information. So therefore, there is value in taking the complete opposite approach to avoid any competition. There are lots of proposals that will get 36 reviews because everybody knows or thinks that that one is going to get approved. But then there are others that have 3, 4 reviews that are attached to them. In that case, you get full impact. You get the full amount that is allocated for each individual proposal, and that could end up being more lucrative simply because people are not paying attention to it. Do not be intimidated by long or perceived boring proposals, ones that might not be doing something that's like super fun and exciting, like gaming, NFTs. There are lots of I love all of the proposals that Charlie 3 puts out in Oracle, because Oracle's the heartbeat of any blockchain technology. And I'm most bullish on C3, honestly, over any other asset in the Cardano ecosystem. And that's because they're so central to everything. And they've had proposals that have been approved before. Last round, they did not, because oracles are boring. People don't get them, and they're much less likely to get voted in favor of. So. But they write amazing reviews. Literally, I feel like the most perfect reviews that I have seen, it's been by Charlie 3. They're so good at it. Now, the longer reviews, they do give you more material to work with. So in that sense, it is kind of easier to write a good, lengthy amount of feedback because you have a lot to work with. You have a lot to either criticize or praise or just talk about how it's working. So longer doesn't necessarily mean better. Like longer also technically means that they're exposing themselves to more criticism. And that's what you want to be giving, constructive criticism. Now, this I say that this only works if you're confident in your ability to write excellent assessments. That's a little misleading because that's not entirely true. If you get excellent assessments with the contrarian strategy, you are far more likely to get a big portion of the rewards that are allocated for that particular proposal. But if you think about it from a perspective of, a big proposal that requests a ton of money and they get like freaking 36 people that have submitted reviews for that specific proposal. That number is not exaggerated. That has happened. 36, it can go that high. In that case, the allocated rewards, not including bonuses, for that one is diluted like crazy. And even though a majority of those 36 reviews will get filtered out for a variety of reasons, even though that is the case, let's say there's 20 reviews that seems pretty proportional. About 33% of all reviews typically do get filtered out. So let's say there's 20 that pass. The rewards for that specific one have been diluted like crazy. If you go over to one that other people are not reviewing and you're within that 5-ish maximum, the 2 excellent and 3 good reviews that are allocated to get full impact of those rewards, you're getting more rewards there, even if it is just a good proposal assessment. So yeah, I guess ignore that last part. Like you do get a ton of rewards, I think, if it is excellent, and if you spend a good amount of time making sure that you get an excellent score with this strategy, you will get a ton more rewards as a result because you're not competing with anybody. You get full impact, and your rewards are not being diluted by the competition. I think that was the last slide. Yes, it was. Okay. I've got one more thing before I close it out, but as far as the content of this presentation goes, that is the end of it. So if anybody has any questions overall about different strategies, things that we went over, things that I might not have been super clear of, you shoot, I'm here for you. All right. Seems like everything was pretty clear and straightforward. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to leave a comment down in the description so that I'll be sure to get to that and make sure that I answer that to the best of my ability, or pop into the Knights Discord where all of this stuff is happening and we're collaborating on getting involved with Cardano Catalyst. With that, the last slide here. I have an update on what the Knights Catalyst Committee is doing. There's an introduction in Fund 10 called a DREP. I assume that stands for Decentralized Representative, but I'm not totally sure. But the DREP is somebody in the Cardano Catalyst community that uh, has been endowed with the responsibility of voting for their communities. So I assume that this is the intention behind this is to increase voter turnout, to increase the ability of people to, because people do not vote in Catalyst. Hell, I don't vote in Catalyst half the time, and people generally don't, and that can be for a variety of reasons. I found that a lot of Cardano projects that even if they're not submitting for a proposal during that round, they don't vote because of the politics or the look that it might have on them using their vast amounts of ADA to move in their favor. Whatever it is, this I think could change that. What happens with decentralized representatives is people, whether it be projects or members of the community, people that might be interested in earning some interest on the ADA that they own, but they're not they typically don't tend to vote in Cardano Catalyst. They can delegate that voting power to a DREP, and that DREP can vote for them. As far as the integration of this with the Knights Guild, I personally have submitted my application to become a decentralized representative. There are they're capping it somewhere in the ballpark of 150 representatives. I am out there networking, connecting with people to get my foot in the door, make sure that people know my name and know that I am up for this role. I did an interview a few days ago, this past week, to get my name out there and let people know what I'm all about. And I directly reference the Knights Guild in the intention of fulfilling this role as a decentralized representative. Now, what does all this mean for the Knights Guild? I'm hoping to use this as an engagement tool, something that we as a Knights Guild community can come together and do something with the knowledge that we have gained from being proposal assessors. We can talk about the variety of different assessments that we reviewed and which ones we like best. The amount that I am given for voting power, assuming I do get passed as a DREP, we're going to collaborate on that voting power. We're going to talk about which ones we want to vote for and which ones we think provided the best value, the best efficient spending, the best impact on the Cardano ecosystem. I'm hoping that we can help to sway some of the politics that exist in the space and not just vote for popular ones, but vote for ones that are actually providing value. In that, this will provide the Knights Guild with an additional stream of funding. The amount that is allocated for each DREP according to the amount that they have delegated to them. We don't know what those amounts are yet, but we will be reaching out to a variety of different projects, community members, individuals to delegate to me as a DREP. And a large majority of that portion of the rewards that we received regardless of how much it is, a majority of that will be going to the Knights Guild, and we'll be able to use that to fund whatever things that we'd like to use with that extra discretionary funding. So yeah, this will help to fund Knights Guild efforts. This will earn interest on the delegators' ADA, so there is a incentive for projects and individuals to delegate, because if they forget that they're going to vote, or they tend not to vote themselves, they can get free interest on that for doing nothing, just for delegating. So that's a big incentive, I think. And this will present an opportunity to collaborate with our experiences as proposal assessors, to combine our knowledge and determine our voting more democratically. I think that's a big deal. Participation in this particular little niche area of the Knights Catalyst Committee is not at all mandatory, but it is encouraged. The ways that you can participate is delegate your voting power to me as a DREP. You can share your thoughts on your favorite proposals and what you have learned as a. I'm going to try and make this as easy as possible. There will be some discussion, there will be some deliberation, but generally speaking, anybody that is in the community, whether or not you participated as a proposal assessor, will do some kind of a voting thing. That's how I imagine this all going down. And then also, as ambassadors, as members of the Knights Guild, we need people to encourage people in the Cardano community to delegate their voting power to me as a DREP. This will benefit the Knights Guild just on a reward standpoint, but I think this will increase engagement overall in the Knights Catalyst Committee. I'm really excited about this one. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out, make sure that I informed anybody that is watching either the live stream or this will be on the recording at all. But that about does it. Thank you everybody so much for coming, and with that, we'll close it out.